Okay, so we're live. Hmm? People, Sunday, 10th of October 2021, another session of microscopy. I'll just show you the spot from where I've collected my today's sample, and it's backyard. My goodness. It's from this backyard here. There is a tap in the backyard which has a little bit of water released. That is on purpose. This release of water is on purpose. What I have done is I have gathered some sample from a twig. You can trace out this white line. There was a twig here a while back. I've just taken that sample and tapped it on the slide, and I found something promising already. We'll proceed on to the sample and see what we have. So here I am on my way to my workspace. I prefer working sitting on the floor. So now the exercise of putting the lens in the camera in focus begins. It's a small tedious process that I have to undergo every time. It requires me to settle perfectly, and it is a thing which I think I shall share someday on my channel. So the process is here done. Presently the lens settings are at 10x objective and 15x eyepiece, and we already have quite a few things around. Let me first bring it better focused. Need to raise it a bit more. Distance. Idea is to bring the two in a kind of a congruence. Once that is done, we shall focus. Okay, so what do we have here? Now let's try to find a few things around. Okay, that was something crazy. Did you see? No, it was out of frame here. Shall be back soon. It's already 5 minutes, and unfortunately I've not yet settled with my setup. I'm not yet done with the setup. Requires a little bit of more functioning. Okay, so here. So what I do is I bring the mobile camera in a kind of a focus with the lens, microscope lens system, and once I find this coherence, then I zoom in. Gives me a higher degree of zooming. Did you see that? That is what I was saying. That's a worm kind of a thing, which we shall work again more with. Here it comes again. I believe it's a larvae of some flatworm or some other worm, simple, just a worm or something. Okay, I just come across an amoeba here. Let me see if I bring it in focus. There are quite a few eggs, some bristled, some non-bristled. There is an egg here. Let me bring it in focus. This circle. There is a larger circle that you see, and there is a smaller circle here. This one I'm talking about. It's showing some kind of movements, so it's not just a droplet of something, but it's some kind of a living organism. It's a cell which is undergoing some sort of movements. Yeah, magnification is just too high, resolution is a little compromised. There you see, oh, that big one, that big flat thing moved again. It's kind of teasing us. So now we move from this part of the slide to somewhere else. Make the frame a little less. I need to move a bit more. I'll just move a bit more. All right, quite good. Not completely satisfactory, but quite good. We have some brownishness on the edge, which is something I'd trade off. And then we go for a zoom. All right, so now let's start moving the slide. I was trying to find an amoeba here. Let me work on that. There was one, at least one that I had noticed. Must not have gone far, but you never know. Give them a few seconds, take your eyes off, and they just wander somewhere. All right, here it is. I found it. Now, I need to bring you into it. That 1, 2, 3 big blobs. 1, 2, 3 big blobs. Okay, so here it is, these 3 big blobs. And right in the center would be our amoeba. Somewhere here. Straight down from. This is our amoeba here. You can see it moving right in the center. Now it's moving upwards, becoming a blob there. Pretty slow moving, but then very conspicuously moving. Though pretty slow, but you can make out the refractive differences between the sol and the gel through means of which it moves around, finds its way. There is one right there moving towards the center of the frame, and we shall now just watch it for a while. This is all live, so you already see what is happening here. Okay, you can just make out the way it is walking by the propulsion of the sol, that is the outer protoplasm. And then that outer protoplasm spreads out in a direction intended for the movement, where then it spreads and the entire remaining body is pulled in that direction. And as it does so, you can see there is a small refractive difference between the sol and the remaining part of the body protoplasm. The extending protoplasm, that is the sol, what we call, is a little brighter and more shiny, while the posterior dragging part, the remaining gel part, is a little relatively not that shiny, but appears to be a little thicker and a little, so to say, a little gelled out. This is a very smoothly moving bacteria, moving amoeba, and it is just moving like as it's got a purpose. Maybe we find it eating some bacteria. There are a few. You can make out those small, white, shiny little uh, droplets. Those are bacteria, rod-shaped bacteria, and which it may engulf in the process of movement. So probably it's moving towards the direction in which it is moving. Not now. In fact, right where it is located, if we, oh, that was the big one. That was the big flatworm. We'll focus. We'll try to focus that flatworm again. First, let's just watch this amoeba for a while, and then we will also find some other unicellular and some multicellular organisms here in this slide. So I think we have had enough of this amoeba. We leave him to his own life, and then we proceed to, okay, this fellow is becoming too conspicuous. It wants to be seen. It just wants to be seen. So let's see it. There it comes again. So I'll be moving to a lower magnification on the microscope. I go to the 4x zoom, which will make our area of sight bigger. There you see this. Lost him. Lost him for the time being, but then there are other things to watch. We'll come to him again. What else should we look out for? There are some other creatures in this slide which are busy doing their own life stuff. We already came across a bacteria. We already came across an amoeba. Now let's try to find something more interesting. Though there are a few things interesting, but then suddenly, oh, there was one fellow. Did you see him going busy? So busy in his life. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there we commit again. There we found it. It's like chasing this fellow, and you see that it has got a very smooth outline and has a darker inner constitution. It doesn't seem to have appendages or doesn't seem to have any sort of spines on the surface, devoid of any sort of spines or specific mouth parts. And that little thing that is dragging behind is only because of adherence, and it's not any body part. And we see that there is a specialized zonation of the body. The interior part is a little broad, the posterior part is tapered, though both are blunt ended. Then we also see that the center of the body has a little uh, demarcation, a kind of a bordering demarcation of a specific sort of, let us say, must be a planarian. It's not a larvae, maybe, but to me it appears to be like a flatworm. It could be a fasciola sort of a thing. But that worries me. If there is a fasciola nearby, that's a sign of worry for me. Okay, now it has been showing itself in a more prominence. Right. This seems to be a fluke. It sure is a fluke. Surely a fluke that makes me bother, that I need to be a little uh, concerned about the kind of creatures that are growing in my backyard. What was that? Okay, so we have a nematode. There's a nematode trying to escape the clutches of its adherents. Go back. Try to find that fellow. It'll be around. Now, who is he? Who is this? Free floater. Could be a rotifer. I think it is a rotifer. And who is he? Who are you? Who is this? Struggling with that little debris around there, which contains its food as well. Something flew. Something zoomed past. And it was very, very speedy, in a hurry. Now, at times when you look at these little creatures and organisms, you realize that the moment they are born, they are ready food. And hence they have an uncertainty of life. There is a very high possibility of them being predated upon. The moment they are born, they have the threat of life ending looming upon them. Let's zoom on to him. This is at a 4x objective and 10x eyepiece. That is a 40 times magnification. If we magnify it more, this surely is a rotifer. You can see the foot through which it is adhering itself on the slide, and trying to move. So now we again try to search our little fluke fellow. Where is it gone? Must be on the slide, has to be. There's a little place, a little small space that he can proceed, or there's no way through which he or she or it could escape. There is another rotifer. There you see. I shall now bring a higher degree of magnification. Here I change the lens, and immediately you would find that the picture becomes a little different. So there you can see the corona, and the greenishness is attributed to the green algae that it has consumed. The teeth, they are moving constantly and rapidly, which become a mode by which they are classified as well. The stomach in the center occupies most of the part. There is, oh, there comes a, what was that? So this little amount of drop of water has got such a variety of life forms thriving in it. Okay. Seems to be a friend or in affection with this rotifer. That little thing. So this rotifer is busy making itself stronger by constant feeding. You can see the body as an elongated tube. There is a constantly moving apparatus, the dentine apparatus, the teeth-like things which are constantly moving, rubbing against each other, crushing the algal cells or whatever food particles are entering in the body, masticating them, and then propelling them towards the stomach. And you can see there is a sort of a movement in the stomach. You see there? Some slight degree of movement in the stomach. It's the mixing of food. Pretty interesting. Though not very sharp in focus, but still pretty focused. Okay, so I think we've had enough of this fellow now. And we shall now proceed to some other part of this slide. There is something more here. Another creature here. Now, what is this? You may wonder. There you see something right in the center of the frame. That is something, again, it's something live. I think we shall go for a higher magnification on this. So I'm moving to a 40x. Need to be a little careful. is that thing? And let's focus in here. Difficult for me to make out. The magnification is high, but the resolution is poor. So we move out of the frame and go to a lower degree of magnification. That would give us a larger view. And I go to the smallest magnification now because we want to find that fluke. Okay, so now let's try to find that fluke thing. It's a lot of patience that is required when you are doing some microscopy like this. Some random unstained microscopy takes a lot of your time, but the rewards are promising and something very fulfilling. Yes, found it, found it, found it. Zoom on him. Grab him now. Won't let him go. What does it? Just moves away. So swift. Found it up again. One thing that I can do here is slowly dry off the water from the slide, which will make the movement of this animal slowed down. And then we can probably see it better. That I shall do with the help of a Q-tip. And I will just rinse it off. All right, so a little bit of tricky stuff here. And there are some bacteria in the frame at times. What are those? That's a nematode. Okay, since we have nothing very promising to observe, we'll just focus on this fellow for a while and see its intricacies. So let me adjust the light. I go to the refraction, maximized, then let's focus on him. That's a normal nematode. You see, there is a specific posterior and anterior portion. The anterior portion is more blunt, thick, and the posterior portion, which is to the right side of the screen, is hooked, and the hook seems to be curved in. Then we see that the body is very smooth and double layered. That shows that there is an outer layer, there is an inner layer. Those are not two different layers. In fact, there is this outer layer, which is the pellicle or the skin, epidermis, and the inner tube, the intestinal and the alimentary canal tube, which are separated by a small space, the pseudocoel. And in the center, we see the body organelles, primarily the stomach, the food items. Then there is the alimentary canal, which is slightly twisted, and at the last third end, we again see some high degree of density of organelles. Now, since it is the posterior end is ending in a hook-like shape, I presume this to be a male. It should also have some spines, if we may find. At the posterior part, but there isn't any. I can't find any. There could be, the central part also contains the gonads, that is the reproductive parts. Okay, so this was just a chance encounter with a nematode here. If we go back and try to look at the worm that we were finding every now and then. There are a lot of amoeba on the background. Can you make out those amoeba? There seem to be quite a few amoeba here. If I zoom, I may be able to show you some. But since we've already had an encounter with a very pretty amoeba a while back, then I shall move ahead, try to find something more important and more promising. Now, what is that? What is this? What is this? Okay, this again is something, surely something organic, and has some cellular components inside, but exactly what it is difficult to manifest for the time being, and hence we leave this aside. What was that? Paramecia. That fellow is a rotifer or a larva. Since it is segmented, it is safe to presume it to be a larva and not a rotifer. There you see the segmentations of the body, or could be the cast shell of some organism. Move and try to find that fluke thing one more time, one last time. Is it this? No. So the fluke has vanished in some other part, which makes us finding it difficult. There are some cells of my own skin. These bright things, these are my cells, my skin cells. There you see my skin cells, a lot of them. Alright, so I think we shall be ending the session. It's already more than half an hour. I was looking just for the purpose of around 20 minutes, wanted to make it a small session. But then if it is not that promising for the time being, since we are searching for that fluke, which is not showing itself up, then let's shut down the show for the day and bid this entire slide organisms a goodbye. So thank you for being here on this today's episode. We shall be doing another session of our microscopy next Sunday. Till then, take care, keep exploring. Bye.